most of this session will consist of live coding, except for the first 5 minutes where I will present a few slides just to give some context. So I'm Matteo Frank, co-founder and CTO of React. I started developing websites in 1996. This is the first website of my company back then when I was 17, which means I've been building web applications, web solutions for customers using many different technologies for 28 years. As a digital agency, we primarily created web applications such as e-commerce systems, production management systems, or product configurators, and of course also websites with CMS. And by the end of 2019, we wanted to transition away from WordPress. We were using WordPress as a headless CMS, but we couldn't find a solution that was satisfied both us and our clients. So during Italy's first lockdown, we had more time to develop a product, and this led to the creation of the first React Bricks MVP. Today, that MVP has evolved into a product which is used by thousands of users worldwide, powering websites of corporations like Banca Mediolanum, a major Italian bank, La Banque Postale in France, Deal, the Weather Channel, and many others. But let's start from the most important question. So why create a new CMS? Well, we need to go back in time to 1996, and in 1996, to create a website like this, you had to use something like this. So directly writing HTML code, uploading it to the server via FTP with no CSS, no JavaScript, and of course, no CMS. This means that when customers needed some changes, they had to send an email, and I would manually change the code. Then, of course, CMSs came. But since the early days, we witnessed the attempt to achieve visual editing for customers. We saw this with FrontPage, with Dreamweaver, and we saw this with the first CMSs like Joomla or then WordPress. If you leave your editors the freedom to edit in a visual way, you always allow the editors to take design choices, which is something that we don't want. And so every time you give this freedom, then you go back to have structured data entered into the database, for example, with advanced custom fields that makes WordPress more structured. You lose the visual editing and you gain structured data. So we have the exact same situation today, because on one side we have the visual tools like Wix or Webflow, where you choose a template, and of course this limits the ability to express the corporate image, the corporate design system. On the other side, with Webflow, you have more power. You can control these CSS properties, but this gives also the editors the power to compromise the design system. So we have these visual tools, which we see they are a no-go for corporate websites. And on the other side, we have the headless CMSs, which are great for us as developers. But in the eyes of the editors, they are still just gray forms. So at the end of 2019, we recognized this gap in the market, and we thought, how can we change this? And so we started analyzing what were the needs of our customers. And so very quickly, we need to convey the corporate brand, which means that we need limitless design possibilities for us as developers, but no way to compromise the brand identity for the editors. Then we need to save time, as usual, which means that the editors should have the freedom to compose pages, the freedom to create without asking developers every time they need to add a new paragraph. So we save developers time. And if we have a system which is very easy to use, we save also the editors time, because they can learn it very quickly and use it very quickly. Then, of course, we need a performant website, so very SEO optimized and very optimized for speed. So we need to use a modern tech stack. and seamless integration with existing systems and APIs. Now, let's just look at the first four needs, and we see that we have a problem because with the headless CMSs, we have limitless design possibilities and no way to compromise the brand identity, but we don't have this freedom to compose pages like we do in visual builders, and they are not easy to use for the editors. For visual page builders, we have the exact opposite. So they are very easy to use. They give editors the freedom to create, but as we saw, we are limited in what we can do from a design point of view, as we saw with Wix. And there are many ways to compromise the brand identity and end up with the dreadful red text over green background, maybe in Comic Sans. So how can we solve this problem? Well, to solve this problem, we thought of what we did when we were children. How did we create things when we were children? Well, we used Lego bricks. And this is a great concept because you see, when you create with Lego, you can create anything, but you cannot change the single Lego brick, the atomic Lego brick. If we translate Lego brick to Lego bricks of content, we solve the problem because you see, editors have the freedom to create, to compose pages using bricks of content, but at the same time, they have no way to compromise the brand identity. And well, since we have the power of code, really, we can do much more than Lego bricks because we can create our own Lego set in code. And so we have limitless design possibilities because with code, we create the content blocks for our design system. What's more, we can also allow the user to change some properties of the content bricks. Imagine with the Lego bricks, if you could have a button on the brick to change the color. How cool would that have been when we were children? With React, we can do it because we have the props. And so last thing, React Bricks is very easy to use because it has true inline visual editing. It's like using a word processor, as you will see in 1 second. For the other requirements, we have an advanced SEO module, great performance, seamless integration with any external data source. But it's enough for talking. Let's see the code. Let me close the slides and let's open our CLI. So to start a React Bricks project, you just start from a CLI command which will scaffold the project. So let's use npm. So npm create React Bricks app. I launch the command. Now, I am already logged in because the CLI remembers the login. Let's say that I log out so that you see what happens when you launch it the first time. So do you already have a React account? Yes, I give my email. So first of all, you register for a free React account. Okay, keep logging. Yes. Let's create a new app. So let's call it Workshop 2024-09-05. Okay, so I want to use Next.js with the app router, and let's load some default data. So now the CLI is downloading the starter project, setting the project configuration, installing all the dependency, then creating the app on the React APIs, and saving the environment variables of our new React app inside the .env file of the new project. Then it is calling the React APIs to generate some default content because I chose in this way. So you see that some pages are created. So now what we can do is let's open the VS Code in this folder. And then we can launch the project. So npm run dev. Sorry. I am in the wrong folder, of course. So let's go to WS 2024-09-05 and npm run dev. So I'm also in the wrong folder. That's code in this folder. Okay. So here we are. Before exploring the directory, let's open our browser to localhost 3000. And we see the project that has been scaffolded for us. So this is a default website with some default content. Let me click on edit content so that we go to the admin interface. So the admin interface lives together with the front-end website. So you will host the front-end website together with the admin interface. Let's log in. And here we have the Rubrics interface. So I can choose the page on the left, and here I can write, so welcome to React Bricks. You see, I can write as if I were in Word pages. This with this pink border is a brick, so it's a content block. If I go to this one, this is another content block, here another. And you see I can apply also styles like bold, link, but anything that you see is defined in React code. So here, for example, I can just add bold and link. If I add another block like this custom hero unit, you see that here I have more possibilities for the rich text. Everything is defined in code. And you see that when I highlight a brick, we have also controls on the right. In this case, I can change the background color, for example, with these colors. If I go to this other brick, I have other options for the background, and I have this grayscale. If I go to this brick, I have the media side. So we'll see how we can create these content blocks, allowing our editors to edit content in a visual way for text and for images, and having some controls to delegate some freedom to the editors to change some properties of our content blocks. For images, I just show you that when I replace an image, I can choose an image from the media library, or I can upload an image, or choose an image from a splash. For example, let's say mountains. Okay, let's pick this image. You see we have all the metadata from Unsplash with the copyright. Save and select. Now I can crop the image. Let's crop it in this way. Save. And now the image has been optimized by the Rubric servers, and all the responsive versions have been created and served from a global CDN. Now, we want to create a new brick. So let's create a new brick, which is a text image brick from scratch. So imagine that we are Acme company. We want to create our Acme design system with our content blocks. What we do is we open the code. I quickly show that this is a Next.js project with the app router in this case. And you see that in this admin folder, we have the admin, while here we have the catch-all routes to render all the CMS content. What is interesting now is the Rubrics folder. Here lives the Rubrics configuration, where we can configure the behavior of Rubrics. And we have the bricks folder where we have our content blocks. So we'll need to go here to this bricks folder to create our new brick. You see we have folders like Rubrics UI, which are many pre-made content blocks. So if I click plus, you see them all here. So you have some pre-made content blocks that you will just throw away to replace them with your design system, but they are a good guide to help you if you need to create something similar to those. Then we have a folder with custom bricks, with two examples of custom bricks. And now let's say that we want to create our theme. So let's create a new folder, which is Acme. Inside Acme, let's create a new folder for our new brick, which is text image. And so in this folder, we'll create a file, which is text image .tsx. This will host our new content block. So here I could use the VS Code extension to create very quickly a brick, but we want to do it from scratch. So let's do it manually. And the first thing that we want to do is import the types from React bricks. In this case, we are using server components with the app folder, so React bricks / RSC. And then we want to create our brick, which is a React component. So const text image. This will be of type brick. And we want also to create an interface for this component. So let's say text image props. And so when we declare a type brick, we can give our interface. And so let's just return some JSX. So let's say that we return an h1 tag. And let's say h1 hello world. And here, let's make it a bit bigger. So text 3 XL. I'm using Tailwind here because I chose a project with Tailwind prefigured. Rubrix is completely CSS agnostic, so you can use any CSS library, no library at all, CSS in JS, anything. Let's say that when it is dark, the text becomes white. Okay, so this is a valid component. We can export it. But you see that we have an error here, because this is not a normal React component. This is a brick, and the brick needs a schema. So let's add a schema to this brick. So text image dot schema. And in the schema, we have two requirements. Have a name for the brick, let's say workshop text image, and the label, so that when we add this brick, we have a label for the brick. So let's say text image. Okay, now you see, this is a valid brick. It doesn't do much, but it is a valid brick. So let's add it to our bricks. So we go here, where bricks are exported, and we create a new theme. So you see we have this default theme with the custom bricks. We create a new one, which we call Acme. We can categorize the bricks, so say headings, content, CTAs, etc. In this case, let's just say content. And here we can add our text image that comes from here, the Acme folder. So let's say Acme bricks. Very well. Now, let's go to our editor. Let's create a new page that we call test. And in this page, we choose our Acme theme. So you see that now we have our Acme theme. I choose the Acme theme, and we have just one brick, which is text image. I add this brick, and you see I can add multiple. So these are our Lego bricks that the editor can use to compose content. But you see, I cannot write it here. It is just a fixed text. So let's make this visually editable. First of all, let's give some padding so that everything is not against the margin of the page. So I will use a pre-made section component from Rubrix UI, so from the pre-made content blocks, and also a container from Rubrix UI. Okay, so now let's put our H1 inside here. You see that we have some more spacing around. And now we want to make this text visually editable. First of all, we need a prop. This prop could be the title of types dot text value from Rubrix. We will get this title from our props, and then we need to render a visually editable text. To do this, we use a component from Rubrix, which is text. So we import text, and we render a text component. A text component needs a prop name, which is title, and a value, which is our title. So if right now, if we go to our editor, let's reload. If we add a text image, you see we have still our fixed text hello world, but we have also this type of text where we can write. I'm completely unstyled in this moment, but we have this editable text. What we want to do is render this h1. So what we can provide a render function, so render block. This render block is a React function, so children. And we want to return this h1. So we cut it and we put it here. Of course, we don't want to render always hello world, but we want to render the children. Okay. Load. Okay. So you see that now I'm writing and I'm creating this h1. So we provided the render function. Okay. If we don't want this type of text here, we can customize it with a placeholder. So let's say placeholder type a title, because it's the title of our brick. And we see so that now we have type a title. And we can also provide a default for when we add a new brick of this type. So let's add a get default props function in our schema. This is a function that will return our default props. So it returns an object with, in this case, the title. You see that everything is fully typed because we provided the interface to as a generic to the brick. So title, and this title is thick as a brick. Don't know if you know the Jethro Tull band. Now if we add a new brick of this type, we see that we have this default text. Of course, we can remove it and write something else. Perfect. So you see how in 2 minutes we already have these content blocks which are directly editable. But remember that we wanted to create a text image, not just a text. So let's add the image part. To add an image, first of all, let's declare the image in our face. The image will be of type image source. We'll get the image here, and we will add a visually editable image. So we import the image component from Bricks and we render it here. So image, an image need a prop name. Oh, for everything we have the autocomplete of the snippet, but now we will do the things manually. So image prop name, let's say image, and then what we need is the source, which is the image. Oh, we have a problem because we need an alternate text. So this will be the fallback alternate text if the editor doesn't provide an alternate text for this image. So let's say image. What we typically want to add to an image is a max width. This is to instruct the responsive images creator on the server. So let's say 800. As a number, of course. And then we can add also an aspect ratio. So we can fix the aspect ratio. Let's say that we want 16/9. Well, now we have our image. And here it is. Of course, we want the text and image to be on 2 columns. So let's add a div, let's say, with class name grid. Let's make it 2 columns over the LG breakpoint. So grid calls 2 and with some gap 12. Inside of this grid, let's add 2 divs. The first div will host the text. And the second one will have the image. Okay, much better. So you see here we have our image. If I click on this image, which has the correct aspect ratio, I can upload an image from the library, from Unsplash. Let's select from the library. I can reuse this image here, which is used on one page. Remember the home. So here we have it, the original, and here we have it cropped for the home. Let's reselect the original. And you see that in this case, I'm forced to crop it as a 16:9 aspect ratio. Let's save, and let me also save the page. Okay, you see we have a text, we have a title, we have an image. Let's add a rich text section where our editors will be able to add also styles like bold or links. To do this, we will add a description. So as usual, we start from the TypeScript interface description, which is again of type text, so text value of rubrics. We will get the description from here. And now what we want to do is add a rich text. So let's import the rich text from rubrics. And this time I will use really this snippet. So let's say rich text, I click here, and I can say that this is the description. So you see the prop name is description. We have a value which is a description, type a description. And the render block, it's not a span, but we want a paragraph. Let's say that the paragraph has a class which is text G, so that is more visible, text gray 600 with some margin bottom, and we make it also dark mode compatible. So here we have our description, which is a rich text. You see that we have these allowed features. Let's comment it out for now, and let's provide a valid default also for the description. Let's say another break in the wall. Okay, let's go back to our editor. And we see that we have this type of description, and here we can write, but we cannot apply any rich text style yet, because we needed to define these allowed features. So if we uncomment the line, you see that immediately now we have bold, so we can apply the bold style. By default, rubrics will just render a B tag, but of course we can override it. For example, let's say that we want to override this bold style, and so it's just a render function. We get the children, we return a B tag. Sorry. We want this B tag to be more highlighted, so we say text pink 500. Okay, here we are. You see that now when I apply bold, we have this pink text. Let's add the link. So I want to add another feature. So let types rich text features. Here you see that you can add bold, code, adding italic, subscript, superscript, everything. Let's add a link. And by default, the link is not visible it hasn't a particular style in Tailwind, so we needed to provide a render function for the link. So for the link, we can get our children. And what we want to return is a link of React bricks. Why? Why we cannot just use a normal anchor? Well, we could use a normal anchor, but the link from React bricks has some very interesting properties. First of all, you can click on it on the admin without triggering the link, unless you are in preview mode. And if you provide a local path, it will use the framework link. So the next link underneath, the remix link or the Gatsby link, based on the framework that you're using. While if you provide a absolute URL, it will use a normal anchor tag. So render link, we want to render our link. We have the children. Okay, well, a link without href is not very useful, so we can also get href and provide the href to our link. And since we are here, let's also get the target and the rel and have them pass to our link component. So target and rel. Okay, so now let's see what happens. Let me reload the interface in a second. Okay, if I want to link, so you see we have a link, we can provide a path or a URL. Let's provide a URL. We can choose to open in a new window, and by default we will have, in this case, the target blank and rel no opener for security reasons. Apply. Second. So we have the link right now, but it isn't. Oh, I provided a custom render function, but I forgot to provide a class name, a class to this to this link. So this is why we don't see it, because we did all of this to provide a class name, and we didn't provide a class name. So let's say that the link is sky 500 over sky 600, so text sky 600, and with some transition for the colors. Okay, here we are. Oh, I didn't save. Okay, okay, so you see that the link is blue. If we go in two-screen preview, you see that it works as a link, while here I can click and edit it. So it's very handy to use this React Bricks link. So now for the sidebar props, here you see we don't have any sidebar props. We can, for example, choose that we want the image on the left or the right. So let's give our editor the brick button to change the side for the image. Well, it's very easy. We know how to do it. No, we just create another props. So let's say image side, which should be left or right. So we take this image side here. And well, to apply a custom class, I usually love to use CLSX, this library. So let's add it, npm install CLSX. Okay. So now we can import CLSX from CLSX. And what we can do is we can say this div here, so the first column, the left column, we apply class name, which is CLSX off. And with CLSX, we can provide, for example, an object with a class, which is order last, and we apply this class only if image side is equal to left. Okay, because if the image is on the left, we need to invert the two columns. Perfect. So now nothing has changed because everything is still the same. We don't have a control to change this side. What we can see if image side as default we say that it is left, and we reload, we see that the CSS works. So now we have the image on the left. But we wanted to have a sidebar control to change this. So let's add a sidebar control. So we create side edit props, which is an array. Inside here, we can create a side edit prop. Let's use the autocomplete plugin. This prop is image side. So image side. Now you see that this prop is a text. Let's see what happens. Let me reload. You see image side. Now I can say left, and it goes left or right. Of course, it is the other case. So, of course, we don't want a text control here, but let's change it to a select control. A select control as the select options. And the select options, we have the autocomplete also for this, but let's do it manually, have a display. So how we want to display the options. So types dot option display dot color, radio, or select. So color picker, radio, or select. In this case, I would choose a radio. And then we have the options, which is an array of objects, each with a value, let's say left, and a label left. Let's add also right. Okay. So now we have this sidebar control that will populate our image side prop that we are using to conditionally render in CSS. So let's see if this works. Okay, image side. Left or right, there is no one selected because we didn't provide a default here, but you see that I can change it. So let's provide a default also for this one. So let's say that the default for the image side is right. And so now if we add a new brick of this type, we'll have the image. Oh, let me reload, sorry. Okay, let's add a new brick. And you see that by default, the new brick now has the correct default. Great. So now you see when I add a brick, this brick text image, we don't have a preview. Why? Well, if you remember when I was adding the one from Rebricks UI, we had this beautiful preview image. How we can provide this preview image also for our Acme block? Well, to do this, we can go to the playground where we have our full design system. So here we can see all of our bricks. In this case, let's limit to the Acme team. And we go to the text image. So here we can add some more text, or x, if we want, we can add some bold to show that we can also add bold. We can get an image. Let's select our usual mountain from here. Let's select this one, which is already cropped in the right way. Okay, save. And now I can get the component screenshot. So get component screenshot, URL copied to clipboard. Now in the schema, I can say preview image URL is this URL that we got from the screenshot. And so now if I go to the editor, if I click the plus button, you see that we have our beautiful preview. I would suggest not to have this absolute URL, but to bind the image to this design system. So what I will do is download this image. What I suggest you to do, of course, you can use that image, but to be also deleted in the future. So it's better to save the image. Let's save it in the download. Then we can copy the image in our text image folder. Let's rename it preview. And then in our component, we can just say that we import the preview image, let's say gpreview, from preview. And then we use this image preview here. So we can say image preview.source. So the image is inside our folder. We can take this bricks folder, move it to another project. We will have our bricks with their respective images. And so we can see that if we reload, this is working again. Great, so we created our first brick where the user can edit the text, use rich text, edit images. Now what we want to show you quickly is how we can also repeat bricks inside of bricks. So let's say that we have also a call to action inside of this brick, which is a button, and the button is a brick. So we will create another brick, which is a button, and here we can repeat multiple buttons. So first of all, we create a new brick, which is a button. So under the Acme folder, we create a button folder. Inside the button folder, we create the button.tsx file. And this time, I want to start from a pre-made component that I have in my clipboard here, clipboard. So this is a simple React component. It's not a React bricks brick. We want to turn it into a React component. This is what happens usually when you have already a React design system in place. First of all, we know that we want to import the types from React bricks. So import types from React bricks RSC. The type of this button will not be a simple React functional component, but a brick. Now we have the error because we didn't provide the schema, so let's do it immediately. Button.schema equals name workshop button label button. Now it is a brick, but what we want to do is, for example, here we have these children that was passed to this button. We want it to be visually editable. So instead of children, let's say that we want to have a button text of type text, so text value. We will get this button text. And to make this visually editable, we want to use a text component from Rubrix. And since we are already here, let's also import the link component from Rubrix, not directly the next link. So let's add the text component. We know that we need a prop name, which is button text. We need the value, which is button text. And we can create a simple render function, which is a span. But if you don't provide a render function, a text component will render just a span. So we can not provide a render function in this case. So let's provide a default for this button text. So get default props, an array. Sorry, it's a function that returns an object with our props. So we have the button text, which is, let's be classic, submit. Okay, so now we have this brick. We need to add it to our bricks. So we have the text image, and we want to add also the button, this one from the Acme folder. Great. Let's come back to our editor. And so let's add a new brick, and you see that we have the button. I click the button, we have submit. I can change this text, so it's visually editable, but this is not a very useful button because I cannot provide a link for this button. What's more, you see that this button had also a type, primary, secondary, with different styling. We want to provide a sidebar control to choose the type of the button. Let's do this. So first of all, we need to add the sidebar, the side edit props, an array of props. Let's add the first one, side edit prop. The name is path. You see this prop path. The label is path, and this can be a simple text. Then we need another one, which is the type, so the type of button. And what we can use here is select. So select. Remember that for select, we have the select option. This time I will use this snippet to help me. So select options, select is okay. The display, no, let's change the display to a radio also in this case. I think it's better. So the first value is primary. We can have a primary button or a secondary button. Okay. So let's see if this works. I add a button. Okay, I can still write over it. We have the path that we can select, for example, let's say about us, and the type can be primary or secondary. We didn't provide a default, but you see that now we are changing the prop using a sidebar control. So let's add a default for the button type. So in here we say that the type by default is, you see that everything is typed. So let's say it's primary. The path could be just empty by default. So now let's add this button that we created to our text image. So let's make sure that our editor can add multiple buttons to this brick. First of all, what we need to do is export this interface for the button because we will use it on the other component. Now we go to the text image and we say that we want another prop which is buttons. This is where we have all the buttons. So buttons is of type repeater items. To repeater items, we can pass a generic, and in this case, it is the button props that we get from the button brick, so that we have everything is fully typed also in this property. So we get our buttons here, and to allow our user to add multiple buttons, we want to use a repeater from React Bricks. So let's import a repeater. And we add a repeater here. So repeater, a repeater as usual as a prop name, which is buttons. Then we have items where we provide our buttons. And the unique thing that we need to do is we need to tell this repeater what kind of bricks it will repeat. To do this, we have the repeater items array. What can be repeated here is just one thing, the buttons. So the name is buttons. And the type, the item type that we want to repeat is WS buttons. Okay, this is enough. If we go here now, you see that we have these nested items. Oh, sorry. Let me check the name of the brick. WS buttons. This is the problem. It is WS button. Otherwise, it cannot find the schema of this other brick, of course. So now nested items, add the button. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe this is not what you want your editor to do. So let's limit. You see that now I can control this button from here, change the order, or I can also highlight it, and I have these item tabs where I can move or remove items. So let's improve a bit the graphics here. So I can provide a wrapper component. So let's do it. So I provide a render wrapper function. We have the items, and we render a div with the items inside. And this div has a class name, which is, let's say that we created a flex with a gap for flex wrap T6. And what we want to do is also limit the number of buttons. So we don't want our editor to be able to enter more than 2 buttons. So let's say max 2. Okay. Let me reload. Now, nested item, add a button, 1 of 2, you see already here. Another button. Oh, I did something wrong. Let me check. Flex wrap, gap 4. Oh, no, it's not a render item wrapper. Otherwise, this will render every item, but it is a render wrapper. Sorry. Okay, now you see that it's okay. So, and this button has its props, so it can have its path. And I would like to show one last thing before asking for questions, that we can very easily provide a validation rule. The path, of course, should be a valid path. So validate, we can provide a validate function, which gets the value. And we can say that the value should start with, let's say, HTTPS, or it can starts with, let's say, slash, it is a local path. Otherwise, we return an error which is invalid path. So now, on our button, let's say third more, and if we change these, you see invalid path. I write gibberish, it's valid path. If I write something like this, it is okay. So we provided also a validation function. The very last thing, I don't want our user to add a button by itself. The button should be used only inside our text image. Very quickly, I can say here that hide from add menu true. And here we are. So now, if I reload, our editor cannot add anymore a button by itself, but only inside of our brick as a repeater item. And so here we are. We covered many things. There are many other things that we could cover, but we don't have time. So what I would like to do is see if there are questions, and then maybe show you very quickly some enterprise features of React Bricks. So first of all, let's see if there are questions. Let me open the chat. Okay, so impressive product, good session. After reviewing the recording, what would you recommend I do next to learn more? Okay, what I would recommend to do next is doing our step-by-step tutorial. So in the React Bricks website, you can go to developers, learn and help. And here, sorry, we have the gamified tutorial. Here we have a gamified tutorial where, let me reset the history. You proceed, you gain points, you can answer the question, you gain points, and it's a very easy way to learn everything, build a project, deploy it on Vercel or Netlify, and learn all the basics of React Bricks. Then, awesome tool, and thanks for introduction. Thank you. I create the next line project with React Bricks. I'm changing from Prismic. Clients are not happy with the page builder. Two things I've noticed during the meeting as feedback for you. Sign in should not be able by password via link which redirects back to the terminal. Via link which redirects back to the terminal is more secure. Okay. Well, as for the sign in, we have two changes in progress. One is the ability to, so you will be able to create also, one thing is that we will be able also to create a user via CLI, so you will not even need to create a user via the form. And the other thing is we have a single sign-on. Really, it is already there, a single sign-on I can show you. So you can, I understand your point, and we will take it into consideration for sure for the next release. The other thing that you can do is secure everything via a single sign-on. So let me show it to you. Now, Dario, can you, there is, my colleague Dario, I asked to upgrade the app to an enterprise app so that I can also show you the single sign-on. But first of all, admin editor should not crash when editing create and break, and should be automatically refresh on changes like code reload would be good. Okay, yes, for most of things you have the live hot reload. For something not, this is something we are working on. The errors that you saw are is Next.js with the app router sometimes gives these errors. So with the pages router, it never happens. With Remix or Gatsby, this never happens. Unfortunately, with the Next.js, sometimes on the hot reload, you have these errors that are not triggered by Rubrix itself. A question, do you have any plans to open source or self-host projects? Yeah, to open source at the moment, no. No, to self-host, yes, it is already possible to self-host. Of course, you self-host every time the front end and the admin. To self-host also the APIs for enterprise plans. There is the option to have a Docker images to self-host everything. Anyway, also for this, I would like to show you that it is possible to enable a off-site backup so that you will have a backup of all of your content and assets to an S3 compatible bucket on your side so that you can be sure that you have also the latest version of all of your content backed in daily or weekly. Okay, how does Ruby handle asset management? Perfect. And how SEO is handled? Perfect. Great questions. So I'd like to show you. As for the media, there is a media library, and so let me. Okay, there is a media library. Now that we have an upgraded version, we have also the folders, which is the advanced version. So it is a complete DAM system. You can organize your images in folders. For each image, you can see where it is used, so all the references, and so that you can reuse also some crops of the images. You can search for the images, see which one are used and not used, so that you can also delete easily the images that are not used. There is the trash bin feature, and very soon you will have also automatic tagging of images via AI. As for the SEO, I show you. If I go to a page, I can click on, let me reduce the chat. I can click on SEO, and here we have the meta tags, the images, so the open graph with images that are automatically cropped with the right dimension for open graph and Twitter or X cards. And then we have the complete implementation of schema.org. So let's say this is a page of an event. We can define start date and date, the status, the attendance mode, if it is online, with the string URL, if it is offline, with the venue, add the tickets of these events. So we implemented the complete schema org with so you have all the semantic data up to the recipe. So it's really very complete and guided, so your editors can reach great SEO performance without being SEO experts. The other question, so let's go to the settings now that we have an enterprise plan. And in the enterprise plan, I show you that here we have the single sign-on. I can enable a SAML choose single sign-on. So you have you can download the metadata to configure it on your side. So let's say that you use Azure, for example, you download the metadata and configure it. Then you can select a provider, for example, the Microsoft Entra ID, the new name for Azure directory. You will provide the redirect URL and and the certificate from Microsoft. Then you choose a unique single sign-on app identifier, and you can choose if you want to force the login only via single sign-on or let user also log in via email and password. Of course, the owner of the app will always is always able to access via login and password, so that via email and password, so that they cannot lock themselves out of the system by doing something wrong with the configurations. So this single sign-on name is used when you log in. You will choose via SSO, you provide your name, and then you are redirected to Azure or to Okta or the provider that you choose. Since we are here, I can show you that for how it works for languages. So let me add the Italian language, for example. Oh no, I have just one locale. We are not really on an enterprise plan with multiple languages. So let's ask Dario to add. Oh, now we already have another language. Okay, here we have. So Italian, save. And now when I go to the editor, you see that we can translate our page into Italian. So yes, create translation. Everything is copied from the default language, but now I can translate this page. Then custom roles, we have multiple environments, so you can create multiple content environments, for example, one for dev. Now everything has been copied, and so you can configure Brixa to work on the dev branch instead of the main, so that you are sure that your developers will never touch the production content when they do experiments. And so approval workflow, you can enable a working copy workflow. Now we don't have time to explain it in deeply, but or a complete approval workflow system. Then I show you the change history. Here you have all the changes to the app, so you can see all the changes. You can view the changes as a diff of the content. So here you see, for example, the change date, and then you can restore to the status before every change. As for the backup and restore, you can always request a backup and restore the content, but there is the scheduled backup on S3, so you can enable scheduled backup, choose if you want daily or weekly, the day where you want the backup, and here you can provide the endpoint, the region, access key, so you can provide your own S3 compatible data for a bucket, test connection, and then here you will see all the latest backup, and if it's failed, the latest backup and the latest that was okay. So you will know that you have all the content on your S3 bucket as a part of security. Let me invite a user just to show how it works. When I invite a user, I can choose the role. I can add the permission that I want to add. I send an invitation. Now the invitation is pending. I'm inviting Dario. Why I'm doing this? To show you how the collaboration works. So you will see when you have multiple users editing the same content at the same time. Of course, we don't want the problem of the last save wins. We want to be sure to manage it. And so let me go back to the editor. 1 second, Dario is cloning the same app to enter in the same space. So let's wait 10 seconds. First of all, I show you that for the collaboration, you see that here we have my avatar. So, okay, Dario entered. You see, these are the 2 users that are logged in this app. Here I see only my avatar. So Dario in this moment is looking another page. Let's go to the home page. Okay, Dario is here in the home page. Now, when I start editing, you see that I am editing now. And so the editing is locked for Dario. Now, let's say that I save, I release the lock, and now Dario starts saving. Okay, you see, this page is locked by Dario. When Dario saves, okay, now it's unlocked, and he changed the content. You see also that I have this working copy now and the approved copy because I saved, but I didn't commit. This is the workflow. If I commit, now this content is pending approval. A user with approval permission could see the page that should be approved and approve them. Here we have also this permission, so we can self-approve the page, but you saw the collaboration and also the approval workflow feature. So Rubrix is enterprise ready. It has many features that we could not see today, like the ability to get external data from legacy APIs, headless commerce systems, etc. So let's see if there are other questions in the chat. Thanks for answering. Okay, SEO is done. Rubrix, the asset manager is done. Well, for the sign-in, we take notice of your suggestion, which we understand it's a good point. And well, any other question? And well, I would like also to tell you when you will see the video, if you will have other questions in the future, that we have a Discord server. So you can you find it here. There is this Discord server. You find it in the footer or also under resources. So you can join our Discord server, and so that we can. Under developer, you have the Slack and the Discord servers. So you can ask questions there, and I will answer. Mitch?
Right. Well, thank you, everybody. Great job, Matteo. And thank you for the attendees for their great questions and engagement. We will wrap it up. The recording will probably go out within 24, 48 hours, and you will receive that shortly. So we will look forward to any additional feedback that you might have. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day/evening. And we look forward to your involvement with React Bricks. Thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.